What is going on, everybody? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good middle of the night, depending on where you're watching from. But hello and welcome back. This is United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and Thursday night football is back. United travel to France to take on Lyon in the first leg of our Europa League quarterfinal tie against the League side. I mean, it's this competition or bust really for as far as our season is concerned, right? We really need to make a statement on Thursday. We really need to not give ourselves a whole lot of work to do on the second leg if possible. I would love to advance and move on to the next round in the second leg at home at Old Trafford. I think that would be excellent. Little cherry on top as well. But we're going to preview that today. I know it's Tuesday. Amorim hasn't even done his presser yet, but it's turning into a bit of a busy week right now. So I wanted to get this done. Honestly, the pressers are super just vanilla anyway. They're just mid and meh. So it doesn't really matter. I don't know why I bother. The most you can get from a presser is like injury news or something. But I think we're pretty much set. We got a lot of that following the Derby. So we're going to preview that. We're going to talk team news. We are going to take a look at tactics. And I think, what could put us in the best position to get something from this first leg. So make sure you hit the like button for me, please. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are going to get stuck in with the news first, as always, because there's a little bit to cover today. Let me see who's joining in the chat. Oh yeah, I did throw in a poll in the chat. We're going to kind of cover that as well, but feel free to jump on in. Danny B, big up. Hope you're doing well today, my friend. Says the lap would be like my fourth, even fifth choice. Yeah, this is the thing. We're going to talk about it, right? Because I put out that short yesterday. There wasn't a whole lot of news yesterday, but I still want to at least put my thoughts out there on the whole Liam Delap thing, and hopefully, if you guys commented on that, haven't even checked yet. Honestly, it's been so busy. So if you guys commented and I didn't respond yet, apologies. It's just been super busy. So, in any case, I did put out my thoughts on that, and I do want to hear some more of yours today. Danny says, rather keep the money for a top 10 and a high prospect 10 and CM and develop Obi. Yeah. And everyone's going to have a little different view right now. I think for me, there's a lot of fans who they're kind of in the any port in the storm, anybody but what we have right now. And I think that it's not enough just to say, well, our players are not performing, so the answer is just to go buy this player. Like any player who's having a decent season that gets linked with it, all of a sudden everybody wants that player. So it's hard. I mean, we know what we're getting. So, but starting with a bit of positivity before we jump into the fun stuff. Big up to Bruno Fernandes again, our Portuguese Magnifico, our captain. Coming off the back of being named the Premier League's Player of the Month for March, he has also been named the PFA Fans Player of the Month now as well. So a couple of good awards. I think he was United's player. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the United awards because it's just meh. But when you're winning the Premier League Player of the Month, when you're winning the PFA, the Fans Player of the Month, that to me is a bigger deal. So big up, Bruno. I'm not going to go too hard because it is a team sport. We would care more about trophies as a club, not individual awards. This ain't Harry Kane out here. But apparently Bruno is garbage. So I don't know. You guys let me know. Moving on to some other news here. So I don't know if you guys saw this business. Not so pleasant note to cover, but it's definitely worth a look. So there was some footage making the rounds following the Derby for some match day stewards. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but like following the Derby, there was a protest that was organized. Now this was a sit-in protest. Basically, fans came together and agreed to not leave their seats following the final whistle, which it seemed like obviously the stewards have a job to do. They can't leave until everyone's gone. When you've got people protesting, obviously it's going to come at a head right there. But we got some footage showing some of the stewards and a couple of the fans having a bit of a tussle, and quite frankly, it is not a good look. Here, I'll show you what we're looking at here. Not a super good look personally. The club is investigating it.
I'm just filming. I'm just making sure no one oversteps the mark.
Fans not having it, and then one of the stewards kind of goes a little hard in the paint for some reason. This guy went up and shows violence. I don't know. I mean, that was a little bit off camera. I couldn't see if the fan touched him or not, or if the steward was just trying to do something about the situation. I don't know, but it's definitely not a good look personally to me. What are your guys' initial thoughts on something like that? Do you side with the fan? Do you side with the steward? Do you not care? Either way, like I said, definitely not a good look in terms of like PR and whatnot, and just the optics of everything at the moment. Amidst a time where we are pretty struggling. Hey, Darko is here. Hey, Darko, how are you doing? Big up, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you again. Danny says multiple times Erasmus made space and got into good positions, but Cass or Dallo chose to pass it backwards or sidewards and hesitate every time. Yeah, I remember a specific, and we talked about this in the match reaction. There was a specific play where Dallo got the ball up, and he was pretty much in the box, and all he had to do was just square it to Hoyland kind of around the back of the defenders, and Hoyland was in space. He was onside, everything, and Dallo chose to stop and put it back to Bruno. Now, I said at the time, Hoyland and Dallo have gone in on each other a couple times in the last couple, like a year and a half now. Now that, to me, I don't put as much weight on that as a lot of other people do. That you see that stuff happen all the time. That's just athletes and teammates just in the heat of the moment. But I worry that if Dallo is either just thinks that nobody else besides Bruno can do anything, or maybe Dallo doesn't trust himself to pick that ball. I don't know. But it was not a good look. And yeah, Hoyland does make space. Hoyland does need to improve. Got into a little bit debate yesterday on another channel with Hoyland and things, and it's just, you guys know my feelings on Hoyland. I like Hoyland, but I've always tried to be as objective as possible and say, yes, he's not having a great season. There are things he needs to improve on. Could the club do more to do that? Yes, with coaching and whatnot, and with playing to his strength and getting the other players around him to look for his runs, to look for his movement, to play balls in earlier. Yes. Could Dorgu's crossing improve and Dallo's crossing improve? Absolutely. That being said, Hoyland does have a lot to do as well. He's still young, and I know people are tired of me saying that, but he's still young. So, I mean, he literally just turned 22 a couple months ago, and I don't know any other 22-year-olds who are literally in charge of goals at a club like Manchester United. So, it is what it is, but in any case, the footage from the match, not a good look. Darko was doing well. I am good, man. Just busy, dude. It's we're doing, spring arrives here, and my wife and I decided to kind of redo some of the furniture and whatnot and paint the walls. So it's just been kind of nonstop that. I got paint on my shoes. Not cool, but it is what it is. Danny said his pressing is gone. He doesn't have the same intensity since when he first joined. Yeah, and it's like hard. You can see things happening. It's almost like some of these players are being told after a bad performance to do something else or not do something, and they go like too far in that direction. We saw, I think, with Onana against Ipswich, he's being told, "Hey, you can come off your line a little bit now. Don't be stuck to your line." And then he goes the far end of that spectrum and comes all the way out. Has a hand in that OG from Dorgu. Same with Garnacho. There are matches where he'll literally never get his head up at all. He'll always shoot. But then there's other matches where he'll start finding his teammates more to the detriment of his shooting. And it's like there's never a gray area there. Hoyland in the derby, the best thing I saw from Hoyland in the derby was dropping deep and linking up in the transition, dropping deep to help press the ball and win it back in midfield. I thought he and Garnacho and Bruno were linking up very, very well in that first phase of that transition. It was just, again, that final ball that was just not doing it. Darko says, what's the solution for not trusting a teammate? Well, the solution is, I think it's twofold. You're going to have to tell yourself that the reality of the situation is that sometimes it'll come off, sometimes it won't. Don't stop trying. Amorim said the same thing about like Hoyland last month. Like, he'll make runs and sometimes his teammates will find him and sometimes they won't, but he still has to make those runs. Dallo's job is to put the ball into space. It's Hoyland's job or Garnacho's job or whoever's job is in the box to put the ball away. But Dallo his ball is oftentimes not good enough. And so nobody can get on the end of it if it's not a good ball, or in that instance I just pointed out, if the ball has never come. So And then the other one is to just start talking to each other. Like it's if you're having trust issues, talk it out, man. It's not that hard. But then he says he needs to speak up and demand the ball and get angry. We've seen that from Hoyland a couple times, right? When he's open and nobody passes to him, nobody gets their head up, and he'll freak out. And I have no problem with it. People need to be doing more, but Hoyland also needs to learn, and this is what's going to come from age, is just movement and timing. Sometimes you have to kind of slow down a little bit and get on the end of something instead of getting too far ahead of the play, and then you're having to come back and do something like. And that comes with age. You look at your like top strikers in that regard in terms of movement in the box. Your guys like your Van Persies, your Ronaldos, your Cavani's. These guys, like, it takes time to get that movement down. Now, some players just have it at a young age. Like someone like Hoyland, like he's just born and he was made in a lab basically to just score goals. But we can't compare. Not every 19, 18, 19-year-old is going to be an Erling Haaland. It just is what it is. So Hoyland will get there, but I think he needs to get some coaching. They need to work on that. He needs to talk to his teammates. He needs to show for the ball. His teammates need to get their head up. I think, like I said many times, Hoyland can do with some one-on-one coaching like Cheeto's done in the last 6 months or so, but I'm not in charge of the club, so it is what it is. Daddy says Garnacho and Hoyland can't play together, no connection. They had some I'd argue they had some connection in that build-up against City, but it's just that final phase because this is the problem you have with wingers who want to cut in and shoot, is they tend to take up positions where your strikers are going to be. And they tend to just want to cut in and shoot, and that's Garnacho's problem. Garnacho needs to be played on the right, I think, a little bit more, because when he plays on the left, he wants to cut in and shoot, and that no one's and like against Forest, for instance, I think he had like 7 shots, and none of them were on target. So Darko says, yes, as he's too casual in accepting his situation. Rob, hello, Rob. How are you doing? Only a few minutes late. Had to pick up some refreshments for the sunny weather. Yeah, is it sunny where you're? It's pretty sunny today. It is not warm, though. Don't let the sun fool you if you're in the Midwest. It is very, very cold out today. Darko says, Garnacho is so weird. She should be punished with bench warming. The problem is, and I don't agree that he should be punished with bench warming. I think that Garnacho should not be in a position where he is starting week in, week out for Manchester United Football Club. He's young. He shouldn't be doing that. And that's just the issue. We don't have the depth, though. We got rid of 3 attackers in the last 6 months in Sancho and Antony and Rashford. We don't really have a choice. It is what it is. So, again, these are the kind of decisions that will make or break a season. When Ruben Amorim elects to get rid of some players and not replace them, or not push the club to replace them. If you get rid of players and there's no replacements brought in, yet that's going to have an impact, and you got to hope that decision works out. So right now, it doesn't look like it is because Garnacho is struggling a bit. Danny says the ref never gave him fouls. Yeah, I saw him ref give like 1 foul for somebody holding on to Hoyland in the derby, I've seen some footage too going around that argues that we should have had a pen after, I think it was Kovacic jumping into Cass in the box. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Danny says he's way better on the right, saying that since last season. I'd argue that he is better in this side, right? I just don't think Garnacho, I think he wants to score the goals, and it's similar to Rashford. But this is what I said a long time ago, is that we needed to put Rashford on the right. We needed to put Antony on the left when Antony first got here, because they all want to cut in and shoot. Like, force them to put balls into the box and get better than that. So Rob says, Hoyland must be sold for £38.5 million to avoid recording a loss. Well, we'll see what happens in the summer. I doubt that we're going to want to get rid of him so soon, but you never know. It wouldn't be my first priority, because we get rid of Hoyland and we bring in a striker, we still just have 1 striker. Hoyland should stay. We need to get another older striker that can handle the responsibility of scoring the goals for Manchester United and can kind of help Hoyland along a little bit. Danny says Cass was definitely a pen. The more I look back at it, the more it does look like a pen. But the reason I don't remember it a whole lot is because I didn't really look at it. There wasn't a big deal made out of it in the match, which is not surprising whatsoever. But What are you going to do? Rob would definitely keep Hoyland as a backup. Yeah, Hoyland needs to be the backup. And then you get into the question, like, does Hoyland want to be a backup? This is the problem in the last 6, 7, 8 years is all these young players like the Mbappes and whatnot were getting all these contracts and getting all these minutes and stuff so early that now every young player who has a decent season expects to just start. I mean, Angel Gomez didn't want to be a rotation player. So that's why he left when he was like 16, 17. And it's like, there are levels. You can be a starter someplace in the Portuguese league at like Boa Vista or something. Doesn't mean you're going to start at Manchester United week in, week out. So we need some players who are ready to go and players who raise the floor of the squad. So while we're on this though, like I said, if you saw yesterday, I did put out that short about 3 minutes on Liam Delap, and that's why I put the poll out today. What are your thoughts on Delap? Let me see what everyone is saying here in the chat. So far, 57% of you would not sign Delap in the summer. 43% would sign Delap. I mean, it's decently close. Again, like I said in the short, like I said a couple times, like, I don't have a problem with Liam Delap as a player. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's a very good player. I don't want to pay 40 million for him, just for one, and I don't think that he is the solution to our lack of goals because he's only what, like 11, 12 goals this season. This is his only really decent season. Hoyland scored more goals than that last season when he was younger than Delap is now in his first season ever in English football, and I don't see how this is going to be any different now. I have a problem with him as the striker. He's not the answer. If we buy Delap, I don't think that that's enough. But if we buy Delap, I wouldn't want him to play as a striker, if that makes sense. If Delap in this system at this club is one of the tens, he is there to play where Garnacho plays, where Xerxes plays in that 10 role. If you look at Delap's dribbles and his ball progression, like his progressive carries, they are really, really high. And his like physical side of the game is very, very high. I think he can do the same thing that Garnacho or Xerxes are doing. Progress the ball, keep possession in that final third, and find his attackers. And I think that that's where I would see him. But again, 40 million is a lot. You can go get Nipan and Chirke for roughly the same price, and I think that Chirke is better. So it's difficult. Everyone's going to have a different opinion. Like I said, I would not look to Delap as the answer to our goal scoring problems. I wouldn't want him to be the 9. I'd want him to play like where Cunha is playing or something like that. That's where I would see him. But again, 40 million is a lot for a relegation player. So who's jumping in here? Sanjay, good to see you, man. Are you still in Valencia? Sanjay's in Valencia, you guys. Just enjoying life, man. Living his best life out there. Big up, man. Agile Beast, big up. How are you doing? He says, for 40 million pounds, it's a hell no. Yeah, 40 million is a lot, personally. I mean, when Cherky's out there for like, what has he got, like a 25 million release clause? I mean, it's just, that's a no-brainer to me, personally. You can get Nippon, Cherky, and Angel Gomez, and Jonathan David for like the same price almost as you're getting one Liam Delap. So to me, that's a no-brainer. Jonathan David free, Angel Gomez free, Cherky 25 million release clause according to reports, Nipan 10, 15 million tops. Like, that's 4 players, literally 4 players for the price of one Liam Delap. As says, a proven striker with consistent scoring record, even if he's a bit older than ideal. Yeah, Jonathan David 25. I mean, just do it. Danny says a quality experience 10 and a 9 is needed if we want top 4. Yeah, the goals. And I've said before, when I say we need goals, it doesn't just mean I want a number 9. Like, it could be someone who plays in the 10 who is scoring buckets of goals too. I don't care where the goals come from. I really don't. Jeremy Frimpong scored more goals last season from the right wingback position than Liam Delap has this season. Like, I don't care where the goals come from. I just need the goals. So whatever that needs to happen to make that a thing, just get it done. Agile says, Ipswich are going to get relegated. We shouldn't be paying anywhere near close to that. Why don't Man United play hardball for a change instead of getting rinsed? I don't know, man. I think we could definitely cushion the blow if we wanted to lap, maybe offer something a little less, maybe put some add-ons that get it to, like, I don't know, 32, 35 million, but then throw one of the youngsters at Ipswich to go on loan or something. Or maybe if there's a youngster that we know is just not in the plans, or maybe a youngster who's not quite there but wants to go play, then you let him go there. Let him just add him in as part of the deal. I don't care what we have to do, but get it done, man. Rob says this old regime would probably pay 40 million pounds for Chris Wood and give him a 5-year count. Yeah, that's Woodwardnomics right there, right? Sanjay came back from Valencia today, was there for 5 days. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and it sounds fun. I've never been to Spain. I know enough Spanish to maybe get by in a Spanish speaking country. I could find my way around easily, but I took 2 years in high school, but that was like 25 years ago because I'm old as shit. So I gotta try to remember it. Rob says, is it now top 5 every season? Why is it now top 5 for Europe for qualification? Is that what you're saying? Because I think that has to do with the coefficient, right, of how the English teams are doing in Europe. Right now, it's still us, Chelsea, and Villa, and Arsenal technically holding down the fort. So that helps us in the long run. Mad Hatter, been a minute. How are you doing? Says, I don't understand the hype surrounding the Delap. Well, for a lot of fans, it's just he's having a decent season and Højlund isn't, and that's literally the extent of the hype. If he wasn't English, I doubt the media would be bigging up as much. Personally, people are like, he bullies defenders, dude. Harry Maguire literally had him in a spliff against Ipswich, and the only thing that I remember Delap doing that entire match was trying to get Ugarte's face. That's literally the only thing I remember from him that match. I'm not saying he's bad again, but I agree. The hype is going a little too far. He's not bad. He's not the answer to our goal scoring problem. Personally, he's not worth 40 million for sure. Rob, would you guys take Omari Hutchinson from Ipswich or any of the other players? I like Hutchinson. He might have been on my list for Ipswich players. I don't remember. For Champions League, yeah, I think it just depends on the coefficient. So how the English teams are doing in the competition is what boosts it. It's not automatic every single year. It just depends on how the English teams do. If all the English teams went out in the group stage next season, then it would hurt the coefficient. Agile says, remember we did Ipswich a favor by subsidizing Brandon Williams on his 65K a week when he was on. I forgot about Brandon Williams. Is he still a free agent? Is he allowed to play? I thought he got busted for doing something with some balloons. I don't remember. I don't know much about that aspect of things, but you guys let me know what you think about Delap. So yeah, it's moving up. 62% say no, 38% say yes. I'm going to end the poll there. Moving on to some other news because that's how we roll. Oops, I just lost my notes here. Hold on a sec, y'all. Computers, right? What are you going to do? There we go. Got it. We're good. So we got some more rumors, some transfer rumors coming from, and you guys remember Ekrem Kanor? He was that Turkish journalist, super active during January. A lot of Victor Osimhen rumors coming from him. But he has reported that we are rekindling our interest in, just sit down before, Jared Branthwaite. So according to Ekrem Kanor, Manchester United are prepared to offer around £50 million for Jared Branthwaite this summer. They remain keen on him, according to Kanor, and after we did bid for Branthwaite, and those bids were rejected. But while we're on the subject of players who are overhyped, we single-handedly lowered Branthwaite's transfer value when we beat them. What did we beat them, 4-1, 4-0 or something not that long ago? He's basically a left-footed Harry Maguire. I'm not trying to diss the guy. In a certain system, he would do very well. Certain systems really do favor the bigger, kind of taller, more physical center backs who can just win the ball, clear the danger, and find somebody with a switch of play or a long ball. There's nothing wrong with that. Maguire is very, very good at that. It just doesn't suit this system, and that's why I don't think Branthwaite suits this system either. We need players who are good defending in the channels, players who are comfortable on the ball, players who can drive out from that defense and start that first phase of the build-up, and players who are maybe just a little more press resistant, who can pick a pass in that delicate area of the pitch, especially given the way that teams do press high up the pitch now. So you want players who are not going to shit themselves in that situation or do about 20 turns like a 14-year-old learning how to park a car for the first time. It's not how it can't happen. It's going to cause us more problems than anything. Danny says, what a waste of money. Yeah. No. Olivier Bichali is free. Yarrick at Valencia, I think, is free this summer. Both left-sided, both very good on the ball. It doesn't make sense to me. And you've got guys like Valentin Gomez, who I think are Velisar, who's very, very, very good on the ball as well. Danny will probably be familiar with him as well. Those directors are clowns. Yeah. Thank fuck we don't have those guys in charge anymore. Because if Woodward and those guys were still doing things, I guarantee Branthwaite would be here in the summer. That's just the way they roll. And they'd probably throw a little extra just to beat out the competition. Because remember, we can do things in the transfer market that no one else can. What a fucking idiot Woodward was. Agile says, I'm sick and tired of getting linked to overpriced English players. Don't get me wrong, I want English players in the team, but I want all of them to come through the academy. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it goes. The English media are going to hype up the English players. It's just, we know that's how it is. It's been like that for a while. So it's nothing new, and us getting linked is nothing new either. So Agile says, paying $60 million for Mount was the final straw. Ruben Amorim loves Mason Mount, you guys, and to his credit, Mount did come on and have a pretty good showing against City. He was getting involved. He had a shot, could have scored. So, and I think he did that at Forest too. He nearly scored against Forest. So, if he can stay fit, Mount could have a role as one of the 10s in this system. I think that he could. But the question again, it's just like Luke Shaw. He has to stay fit. One more injury, and it's just. I don't know what it's going to take for this club to just see that Shaw and Mount, if they keep getting injured again, like, I don't know what it's going to take for them to see like this. They're not it. We have to move them on. Danny says, I think Yarrick signed a new deal. Oh, did he? I did not see that. Yeah, I listed him like last season, or maybe it was this summer as an option, but I didn't know he signed a new deal. Like I said, I don't follow La Liga as closely as other leagues. Rob says, has he even played for England? Mount? Don't know, man. Do not know. I'm not English, so I don't watch a ton of international football unless it's the World Cup or the Euros, personally. And he says, I don't think, maybe one cap. Yeah. So, sticking with Ekrem Konur after he linked us to Branthwaite to kind of just piss everybody off again, he claims in some potential outgoing news that Casemiro, the plan is to sell Casemiro this summer for around 15 to 17 million euros, as Fabrizio Romano would say. And apparently, Casemiro has already been informed by United that is the plan, that they are trying to sell him this summer. Honestly, that 15, 17 million, that's pretty much about what he makes in a year anyway. So just call it a wash for the last year of his contract, personally. But yes, we probably needed to get rid of him. He's older. His wages are really, really high. It was not a good transfer from any perspective you look at it, and it was definitely about 5 years too late. But again, we did give him his flowers after the Derby because he was an absolute force in nature in that match. So can't deny that at all. So whoa, what we got here? Rich, big up, Rich. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. As always, hope things are going well. Rob says, I don't class Shaw Mount as United players. They just make cameos sometimes. I mean, has Shaw played at all this year? I can't remember now off the top of my head if Shaw has literally played a match this season. I do not know. Agile says, yeah, I would have taken Mount on a free, but no way paying 250 a week. Yeah, that was just not smart, man. Who's buying Mount? Well, somebody will buy Mount. I guarantee you. Someone like a West Ham, or like maybe I could see Mount going to Newcastle personally. I think Newcastle are trying to do something out there, and I do see him those kind of teams. I mean, Ross Barkley went to like Villa and whatnot. I think similar kind of profile. It's just a matter of staying fit. So, what are you gonna do? Agile says, will we true up the last year of Cast contract? I can't imagine his next one will be $350K a week. Now, unless he goes to the Saudi League, Casemiro's not making anywhere near what he's making at United. So I don't begrudge him for not wanting to leave. It is what it is. People will say, they're mercenaries, but Casemiro's, he comes on, he plays, he does what he needs to do, and I dare literally anyone who calls him a mercenary to do anything different in his situation. So Agile says, I wouldn't mind keeping Cass for next year and let him go for free. It's just you're eating like 17, 18 million in wages every year you keep Cass at the club is the problem. And that hurts us a lot in PSR. That's literally what you're paying Casemiro's salary each year is literally one Sphere Nippon, basically, in transfer fees. Um, Mount must be sold for 33 million to avoid recording a loss. Ugh. Don't you hate that as United fans, we've all become like FFP and PSR experts? What other club like has so many, like City have City fans have become like law experts. We've become FFP experts. Oh man, this is ridiculous. Arsenal fans have become trust the process experts. Red Devil says he stays in unless we loan him. Yeah, I don't. I know the Saudi league's got a boost in their foreign player allotment, so maybe we saw that there were Saudi clubs that maybe wanted him. I saw that there were like clubs like Flamenco or something who were linked to him as well, not to Turkish clubs too. So there are options out there. I could definitely see him going to like Galatasaray or Fenerbahce or something and doing very, very well as well. Um, Danny says, send him to Flamenco. Tell him we cover 75% of his wages if they give us Wesley Franca for 15 million. Yeah, we were linked with that guy. Did you guys see the that reminds me, Fabrizio Romano put out yesterday that there's that right wingback, right midfielder that I've mentioned a couple times on the channel, Luis Enrique, who now apparently Bayern Munich want to bring to the club. This guy's got excellent numbers, really good age. Effective, just quality on the pitch. Like I remember mentioning that guy a couple times now. Guys got to listen to me. I know a thing or two. Not really, but blind squirrel finds a nut, right? Agile B says, yeah, or maybe find a loan for him wherever someone ponies up like 100K a week. And yeah, I mean, again, if no one wants to pay the wages, we gave him the wages. It was, what I don't want is another De Gea situation where he just leaves for free after we've spent the contract paying him that much. De Gea was on pretty much the same amount and walked for free. But what are you going to do? Rich says, hopefully Ineos learn from others' past mistakes. Recent contracts handed out seem more reasonable. Yeah, I think that's why we're linked with so many younger players is we want players who are on like their first or second contract, who are hungry, who aren't going to break the wage bill, who, want to perform. And then, we can up, because if we sign players now on like Osimhen or like if Mainu, like let's say hypothetically Chris Wheeler's rumors about Mainu wanting 180K a week are true. You sign that now when he's still a young kid. What's going to happen in 3 years when he's entering the final year of that contract and you've got to up it? You're going to pay him 300K a week? No, that's not going to happen. And he's just going to run his contract out. Like it's super annoying. But yeah, Casemiro probably, I would try to sell him if I could in the summer. I think Collier is doing just fine. Now, Collier doesn't have the passing range that Casemiro does, but I think that Collier does have similar physical profile to Casemiro in terms of he'll get stuck in. But yeah, learning from past experience, like I call that wisdom, Rich. Learning from the mistakes of other people is probably the best sort of wisdom that you can implement. So Jay says, hey, can you check the link I put in the chat if you can? Is there a link in the chat? I did not see anything. I have like 2 separate things popping up. I don't see any links in the chat, man. Yeah, I got nothing, dude. But hi, Jay. I hope you're doing well, but I didn't see any links in the chat, man. I don't see anything. So sticking with Ekrem Konan, this guy's all over it today. He claims that Altay Bayindir's time at Old Trafford is coming to an end, and he will be leaving the club in search for minutes, basically first team football. We saw this a few months back that it looked likely that he was going to be leaving. We've kind of assumed that all season. Apparently, we're looking for 6 to 7 million for Bayindir. I think we paid like 5 for him. I want to say I don't remember now off the top of my head. He probably should be playing first team minutes someplace. I think personally for me, if we didn't buy a keeper, which I don't think we're doing, and anybody came in, like a Saudi club came in with a decent offer for Onana, like I would just let Bayindir and Vitek kind of fight it out next season, and then we can figure it out next summer. But if we lose a keeper, we got to bring in a keeper, or we have to promote a youngster. Like this is where we're at right now because we're losing a lot of players for free. We don't have a whole lot of depth to begin with. Every player that we lose needs to be replaced. It's just the way it is. Yes, we have a bloated squad, but we can't let like 2 defenders go for free and not replace one. And we can't let Eriksson go for free without replacing him. We can't lose all these players and not doing. We have literally no depth in these wide positions right now. Dalla was playing every single match. Like Garnacho and Xerxes are pretty much our only options in the 10 right now, unless Eriksson comes in and Bruno plays up top or something. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Rob says, has Mainu actually played much? I don't know the match numbers off the top of my head for Mainu, but they're not a lot. He's had a couple of injury issues. And I remember Mainu's only been playing first team football for just over a year and a half. So, and he's had a few injuries in that time period. So I hope we're not looking at an injury prone player like an Ethan Laird or something who struggled with injuries at a young age, or like Shea Lacey, what we've seen from him. So hopefully he can bounce back from this and stay fit. I don't want to play conspiracy theorist and say maybe the contract talks have something to do with a lot of this, but Amorim also said yesterday that he's back training with the team. We could see him in the matchday squad sometime soon. I just spilled water all over myself because I'm an adult. Rajat, big up, Rajat. Haven't seen you in a minute. Hope you are doing well, my friend. Coming in with the smoke. Will you take Chouameni? I love Chouameni at the club. I just, it's kind of a moot point, right? Because I don't think he's going anywhere, but he is very good. Camavinga's good too. I don't think Camavinga's as good as Chouameni personally, but Camavinga has kind of been forced to play a lot of different positions. I remember seeing him play left back for a minute there for a while, but Rob says just Mainu's got 18 appearances in the Premier League, 3 in Europe. Yeah, I remember when he played that 10. Yeah, Rajat Mount can definitely play that 10. We know that Ruben Amorim really likes him a lot. So, let me get caught up. Box jumping in. Good to see everybody in. I'll take that. Dude, I would do unspeakable things to get Fede Valverde at this club. Like, secret things that, like, I would have to sit and have a personal, insightful chat with myself about after the fact. Like, Fede Valverde has got to be one of the best players I've seen in a very long time. But like Danny B says, Rajat, go check out Arden Yashari. We've been linked. I've been banging that drum for months now on Arden Yashari. He just had another great match at the weekend. So he's one of those. Moving on to another potential outgoing. Again, hit that like button if you haven't, guys. I'd like to see everybody getting involved. I'm glad everybody's getting involved in the chat. So this is coming from Get French Football News and French outlet L'Equipe. They report that talks between PSG sporting director Luis Campos and the representatives of Marcus Rashford have been rekindled. Now, remember, PSG's president publicly stated their interest in Rashford a few years back. You remember that. But it sounds like maybe, according to these outlets, that they've rekindled their interest. And this was always going to be the potential outcome of his loan. And this is what you want with loans, especially with players who are out of favor. You want them to go perform at a place or in a league or a club that suits them, that they'll do well in, like Anthony's doing, like Rashford's been doing. Raise that transfer value, get some more clubs interested. And that's what's happening. And Rashford to PSG honestly makes sense. He's a very similar profile to Kylian Mbappe. They didn't really adequately replace Mbappe. They've got Ousmane Dembele playing up top right now because they also let Kolo Muani go, and Gonçalo Ramos isn't clearly that guy, so it is what it is. But he was always going to draw interest, Rashford, if he did well on his loan, and he's doing decently. So I don't have a problem with it. Raise the transfer value up. If we can get more than the 40 million that Villa have the option for, then go for it. I doubt that if someone like PSG or Barcelona or whoever are interested, he's going to stay at Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa suits his style of play personally, but it is what it is. Maybe he'll just go to the Saudi league like John Duran did. So let's see what we got here. Everybody's loving Valverde. Yeah, Valverde, he's got that dog in him too. Valverde, like, how can you come in and be forced to play right back and still be literally like world class in that position? Like, that's insane, man. He's so good. Danny says Valverde is a best in class. Yeah, Valverde would instantly be the best player in our squad. He'd be the best player in pretty much any squad he walks into, quite frankly. The guy is just an absolute machine. Where did they get him from too? I can't remember now where they got him from, because he didn't come to the academy or anything. They signed him. So whoever was in charge of that, man, like, whew, that's got to be. He's one of the best players I've ever seen in recent years, man. Bach said we could up the price if PSG want him. I mean, he'll up the price himself if he continues to perform. Now, I'd like us to, it's hard. You get back to that dilemma. Like, do you just want him off the books, or do you want to try to get the most you can from him? Either way, you're making a lot of money on Rashford because he is an academy product. But yeah, like Danny says, 50 mil if PSG want him. Yeah, I think like 45 or 50 mil with like another 7-8 million in add-ons is not unrealistic. They can pay the wages too. Maybe they can throw us Desiree Doué while they're at it. Probably not, but they did just renew what's his face's contract, Nuno Mendes. So I don't know what wages he's on now. I think he's like one of the highest paid left backs in football now. But so I don't know how much wiggle room they're going to have. PSG have a lot of players at that squad too. Is 100 million for Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, realistic. I got to do math now. So 25 million. I don't think it's unrealistic. 50 million for Rashford, 25 for Anthony, 25 for Sancho. It's not, or split that up anyway. I don't think that's totally unrealistic. Yeah. Penarol, Sean. Oh boy. So yeah, Rashford to PSG. There's a chance that it could be rekindled, according to L'Equipe and Get French Football News. So, and then finally with the news, before we dump into the match preview, because again, that's why we're here. We're 40 minutes in and we haven't even gotten through the news. This is why I split the videos up. I just didn't have enough time. But the Academy played yesterday. They played Forest and they conceded 2 late goals to draw 3-3 yesterday at Lee Sports Village. Montato got the early goal, and then Cheeto played for the Academy yesterday, and he bagged 2 as well. And then Sekou Kone ended up starting that one as well. I think Fletcher, Morehouse, Oganai, a lot of these guys all started. And there's enough days in between. I think, again, it's more a matter of if Cheeto's not getting a whole lot of minutes in the first team, and there's 4 days between matches, just let him go get minutes, let him stay match fit, let him stay in a rhythm. Yes, it's not first team men's football, but if he can still score goals, he's going to stay in that rhythm, and that's what I don't mind. So, Penarol, that's where he came from. That's right. You said Penarol for some reason. Like I thought you were talking about a drug or something. I don't know why I thought that. Freudian slip. Rob says 6 million from Deportivo La Corona. Maybe Greenwood, Fernandez get sold on too, and we pick up some money there. Yeah, Greenwood, I think we have 50% sell on, if I remember correctly. And then Fernandez, yeah, we get some more from that as well. So we're going to be making money on a lot of these academy players. If Kambwala moves on, we'll get some money from that. Someone like Iqbal as well. Donny van de Beek could get us some bonuses. We'll get bonuses from Rashford's loan every time Villa do well in the Champions League. So Rob says PSG have too many in those positions, so don't need Rashford unless someone is leaving. I don't think Gonçalo Ramos is going to stick around. They've got Doué. I think I saw some reports that not that long ago that Kanjin Lee could be leaving. Barcola is still very young. He is very up and down. Dembele is obviously doing well, but he's kind of playing out of position. They could do with some depth, I think, in those wide areas personally. Danny says, if Hoyland ghosts again, Cheeto needs to get a start. Yeah, we did that. I did that video not too long ago on whether or not Cheeto should start. So it's definitely worth a look. But again, if we get up by a few goals in this and we win this first leg on Thursday up by a couple goals, then we need to maybe think about starting Cheeto in the second leg. If we get like a 3 or 4 goal victory, Cheeto can start as far as I'm concerned. So. Oh, and then finally, too, I meant to do this one as well. Did you guys see this new rule that the Brazilian league is instituting? So they've now made it illegal in the law of the game for a player to do like a stand on the ball skill move. So it's illegal for players to do this now. Some players are not happy about it. Obviously, you can see that's Memphis there. Memphis and Neymar have both criticized the rule. They don't want it to limit the whole Joga Bonito mentality of Brazilian football. Obviously, Brazilians do love a bit of flair. I feel like Brazilian players would rather do 18 skill moves before they take a shot, even if they had an open net, even if the keeper was stuck trying to come out for a corner and they got a breakaway. And let's say Anthony took it all the way to the box. There's nobody around him. He would probably stop and do a spin before he put the ball in the net. So it is what it is. I mean, it's not like they banned step overs or anything, but standing on the ball, I mean, I can see it a little bit, and it can puncture the ball sometimes if you're doing that. But I think I think instead of saying, "Hey, we just don't want the ball to get punctured," the league went this route of calling it unsportsmanlike. They've called it disrespectful. So I think that they probably should have just said, "No, don't kill the ball." But interesting rule changes. Again, we love a rule change. So all right, let's get stuck into this match. That's why we're all here, right? So um, Rob says just need some club to be fooled by all the anti-teams. Somebody will do it. Betis are crying poverty right now, but I bet they made like 100 million last 2 summers on player sales. So I'm not buying that bullshit. But all right, let's talk about this match. Hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you are new. Get involved in the chat. Because we're going to talk about Lyon first. So death, taxes, and United kind of facing a bit of a new manager bounce. It's new manager, but not new manager. So they got Paulo Fonseca in January, and they were struggling before they brought him in. But then Fonseca got himself banned until literally next November or something because he decided to headbutt a referee after a match. So they've got a new manager. They don't have a new manager, but they've got an interim boss. So maybe it's interim manager bounce for them. But they are doing well right now, even without Fonseca on the touchline. They're currently 5th in Ligue 1. 8 wins, 2 losses in their last 10 matches in all competitions. But and also they haven't scored fewer than 2 goals in each of these matches. So they know how to find the back of the net, and they've got a lot of players who can. But they've also only kept just 2 clean sheets in that time as well. So they can be got at. They can be vulnerable defensively. I think that they're going just the whole old school, if you score 2, we'll score 3 kind of route, which is doing a job for them right now. They will be without a couple of key players. Some players got some long-term injuries. Malik Fofana, I think, is out for the season. And then Ernest Nuama is picked up a knee issue, so he'll be out for a little while. We will see a familiar face in Alexander Lacazette. Y'all remember him. But closer to home, we are going to have a little bit of a reunion with Nemanja Matic, who plays for Lyon now and is doing very well in that pivot role, the same role he played for Manchester United. So Danny says, I was even fooled by the Antony hype till I watched him. Antony was a world beater at Ajax. It's just he got found out very quickly in the Premier League and he just couldn't hang. So Danny says, my kind of manager. Yeah, dude, headbutting the ref is insane. We've all wanted to do it, right? You're just not allowed to. So Rob says, yeah, they've got a slow midfield with some talented youngsters. They do have their midfield is slow, but they like to pretty much dominate possession. They get around that by trying to dominate possession and trying to win back the ball a little higher up the pitch. So their midfield doesn't have to do a whole lot of running. And this is Fonseca's influence. He may not be on the touchline, but his fingerprints are all over this. So they go with a 4-2-3-1. They do like a strong midfield. They do like a very dynamic attack. A lot of players who are versatile in their profile leading that line, who can interchange, cause a lot of problems with movement, and can contribute with goals or assists. And they can frustrate opponents. They do dominate possession. They do control the tempo of the game. I've looked at the last several matches that they've had. They've literally had majority of the possession in all those matches. They just hold on to the ball, and they do it really well. Kind of like Arsenal, kind of like City. They just want to hold on to the possession, advance it up the pitch, and try to create opportunity after opportunity. So we're going to have to look out for that. We're going to have to try to disrupt that. We need to also, while we're trying to do that, we need to look out for late runs from guys like Corentin Tolisso, who is at Lyon now. We need to look out for Cherke, obviously. And we need to look out for those overlapping fullbacks. I do like to push those fullbacks forward to create some overloads and to create opportunities. They like to, again, they'll square that ball. They'll put a ball in the box. It's either going to find a late run or it's going to find Lacazette. And guess, like you guys saying, they have young players that will cause us problems. Thiago Almada and Rayan Cherki are excellent players. I liked Almada when he was at Atlanta United in the MLS, and then he went to Botafogo, I want to say, and now he's at Lyon. And then obviously Cherki's going to do Cherki things because he's just bossing it right now, especially in Europe. So we need to look out for that. I think if we can play like we did against City, we saw the way that Bruno, Ugarte, Garnacho, Højlund, we saw how they were dropping a little deeper. They were winning. They were employing a midfield block, basically, and Casemiro was obviously in that as well, to win the ball a little higher. If we can make ourselves hard to break down, we can win that midfield battle like we did against City, I think that we can do a very good job. De Ligt is still a question mark for this one. He obviously was not involved against City with an ankle issue. Could still be a little too soon for Kobbie Mainoo and for Aiden Heaven as well. They're both kind of back on grass, but maybe might be too early. Maguire's minutes are being managed right now. He did go off in that hour mark against City. I think with so many issues with center backs, we don't want to risk it. So managing his minutes, getting Lindelof some more minutes. We want everybody to stay fit, stay match ready. So this is how you rotate. As far as form goes, I mean, we're coming off the back of just 1 point in 6 from our last 2 league matches. Obviously, we're doing well in Europe before the international break. It really should have been 4 points from 6. We were the better side against City. We should have won something, but it is what it is. We are all in on Europa League. That's all there is to it. English teams, I think, definitely do have the physical edge when it comes to European football this season. Even ones like United, who may be near the bottom of the Premier League when it comes to physicality, but near the top in Europa League when it comes to that. And this is the advantage I think English teams have. Bruno was back to his best on the weekend against City after a little bit of a stumble against Forest. Casemiro was excellent, so it'll be interesting to see if he starts again. I mean, he has to, right, if he's fit. He's had enough time in between. So, but again, like I said, similar to Arsenal and City match, again, Lyon like to capitalize on the dominance of the ball. They like to maintain possession, and they like to overload numbers in the opposition half and work the ball around to create opportunities. We can make ourselves hard to break down, look to hit them on the break, win that midfield block like we were doing against City. I think we can have a chance here. We have to try to avoid maybe trying to play the ball through the midfield and trying to work it wide and then forward, possibly similar to like what we were doing before. We need to try to find Dalot. Dalot's been doing really well in those 1v1s. I just need that final ball to improve. Dorgu obviously can get the ball up the pitch very, very well, but again, the final ball has just not been there. So maybe it's a matter of, instead of getting it all the way up there and putting the cross in, maybe you get the ball, advance it, and then play an infield pass or something once you get into the opposition half to try to find someone like a Bruno, someone like a Garnacho, or somebody like a Højlund and let them kind of do the running a little bit. I don't know. Or just play it long. That works too. Again, like I said, Lyon like to press high up the pitch. They like to block off the passing lanes between our midfield and the more advanced players, similar to like what we saw Liverpool do, like Newcastle do, that like to block off those lanes, make it difficult to play out. But we need to move the ball quick, we need to move it wide, and we need to move it forward in that order. And then just try to disrupt a lot of that tempo that they're trying to create. Again, it's a good mix of 2 different systems, you know, the low block, the compact shape, but then Amorim's preference to try to win back the ball in more advanced positions with those pressing traps. I think there's a good combination there that we saw against City. It's just a shame that the final ball wasn't on. But I do like what I saw against City. More of that would be in store. Let me get caught up with you guys. What? Oh, Rajat is starting all sorts of arguments here. Pele over Maradona. Not an argument, but you know what I mean. I wish I had an opinion. I was too young, so I didn't see those guys play. But Rob says Fetty is going to be playing right back. Oh, yeah, we do have Champions League today. Don't forget. Rob said Casemiro is going to look like a speed merchant. Danny says, what? I didn't know Almada was there. Which club? Because I remember when he started, I remember him at Atlanta United in the MLS, and then he went, I want to say it was Botafogo. It could have been Santos. I don't remember off the top of my head. I do believe it was Botafogo, though, but I don't remember. Rob says Malik Fofana looks a talent. Malik Fofana is injured, so he will not be playing. Raja says that Bilbao is going to be email. We'll not jump ahead. We don't want to put the cart before the horse here. We want to make sure that we or the horse before the cart. We want to make sure we get to that. Bilbao could be knocked out in this round. We never know. So Bach says Bilbao scored 2 goals in their last 5 league games. They're looking blunt. I think Bilbao are really going hard in the Europa League as well. Same as like Lazio and whatnot. Danny says, why couldn't we get Almada? Oh man, I was sorry to make you mad, dude. Sorry. Roger says opinion about Rodrigo Mora. He looks like he has great ability. Yeah, we spoke about Mora a couple times when we were linked with him last month. Obviously, the young Porto attacking midfielder looks very, very good. So Danny says young Argentinian 10. Yeah, Almada is very good. He kind of plays in like a wide left side position now, but he's very, very good. Look for him. Look for him to cut inside a lot and get involved personally. I would love to see Bayindir start. Get your starting 11s in if you guys have an opinion there. I would love Bayindir to start. He was back on the bench against City. He was kind of our European keeper for a hot second there. I would love, if he's fit and he's feeling good, I would love to see him get a chance. But then again, Onana did just fine against City, so it's hard. But you don't want to throw the rhythm off. But if we are planning to sell him again, it's one of those hard things. Like, what do you do? But again, it's about the better player. The better player should play, right? I think we could probably see Lindelof start this one again. This is not me saying what I want. This is me saying what I think might happen. Lindelof's been getting more and more minutes as a sub. I think we could easily see him start this one, and maybe in European competition and not Premier League competition that could suit his profile of defender a little better. Maybe not as physical. Maybe you don't need to be. But we'll see. It could be too soon for De Ligt for all I know. Maybe Maguire managing those minutes. He could just come off the bench. If we're up and Lyon are starting to resort to like putting balls in the box or playing it long, that's where you want Maguire to come in and just win those headers. Mount, I go back and forth on, but I do think there's a chance we might see him start and maybe play for like 50, 55 minutes because he's been getting more and more minutes. He's looked decent too, so we'll see how it goes, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mount got a start in one of the 10 roles and maybe Garnacho was on the bench. The problem is I do think the way that they play, you might want Garnacho's pace when you have those transition opportunities on. He and Højlund and Bruno, I thought, were linking up very, very nicely with those transitions. So it's just that final ball again. And if Garnacho starts, you kind of have to hope he's having a good day, that he's on it that day, because his final ball has not been on. But I would also love for us to continue our run as the only unbeaten side in Europe. But you have to think though that the luck might run out at some point. I just hope it's not on Thursday. I hope that we continue the good run of form. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Danny says bench Garnacho for Xerxes. Yeah, again, I go either way. Is Xerxes and like Mount in the 10? Is that got enough pace to it? Does it have enough of that kind of energy to it? As like someone like Garnacho, I don't know. Who knows? Danny says I would put Slab on Lacazette. Yeah, I think again, it's just about how Amorim is choosing to manage his minutes with all the injuries and whatnot. So again, I'm not saying this is who I want. That's just, I could easily see Lindelof starting. I could easily see Mount starting over Garnacho. It just depends. So Rob says, seen anything of this guy, Joel Leandro Ordonez Guerrero at Club Brugge? Are you talking about the center back? Yeah, he's very good. I like Yashari at Club Brugge. I like De Kuiper is pretty good too at Club Brugge. Lindelof not physical enough for the Premier League, Danny, for sure. But I think in Europe, what we're seeing is that the English sides are kind of going into this automatically the more physical teams in these competitions. So he might not have to be as physical because European sides don't tend to play the similar style to the Premier League. So Danny wants Xerxes, Bruno, Casemiro, Collier. I will play. I don't know what's going on with Ugarte. He seems like he was kind of struggling a bit. Obviously he and Cass were hooked against Forest. I'm not sure if that was just to rest them or not. But I didn't see anything wrong with anything Ugarte was doing, but we'll see what happens. So, and final thoughts here, you guys, get your score predictions. I think this could go 2-1 United. This is what I'm going for. 2-1 on the road was not a bad result in Europe. I think that we've seen from United that we can make ourselves very difficult to break down. We can cause other teams to... I mean, the only reason we gave up a goal against Forest was counterattacking opportunity. And the very next game, we were getting back very quickly in defense and kind of preventing that from happening. And obviously, if you can keep Man City quiet to hold them to a goalless draw, that you're doing something pretty well. So I think that it's going to go 2-1 United. You guys let me know what your predictions are. I'd like us to keep up this run. and see what we do. We did get a statement today. I don't know if you guys saw this, that we've added a 2-game tour to our preseason. Technically, you call it a postseason, right? But we're going to Malaysia and Hong Kong, but we're doing this immediately after the final. So we're going like the end of May. So May 29th, 30th, we're going to Malaysia. We're going to Hong Kong for a couple of preseason friendlies. I kind of feel like the odd man out sometimes as an American like Mancunian supporter of the club, because I don't like friendlies when they come. When the clubs come here for preseason, I don't get all excited to go see them because I just don't want anybody to get injured. I know it's a lot of travel and a lot of extra football, which I'm not a fan of either. And we know that players and managers are also not a fan of how much football, but maybe because it's right after, it's not that big a deal. But back-to-back preseason friendlies immediately after the end of the season is a bit much, in my opinion. Like, I get that you want to get back fit and you want to play a little bit. Just do it at Old Trafford. I don't care. We don't need to travel around the world. This sounds heartless because there's other fans who can't always come to Old Trafford, but maybe I get it. I totally do. To me, I'm being a little selfish because I care more about players not getting injured and whatnot. But apparently, we're going to make like $8 million from these 2 games, so it is what it is. Danny says a little early to say out Collier is calmer on the ball. Yeah. Rob says, is Collier injured? Wasn't even on the bench. He might have. If he picked up something else, that's going to be a little frustrating because he's just come back from one. Bach says, we're playing Leeds in Sweden. Lead in Swedes. Interesting. Does anybody go to any of the preseason games ever? I was supposed to go. So 2014, when Madrid were playing United in Ann Arbor, which is like 20 minutes from me. I was supposed to go to that one with Justin, but then that was the summer he was doing student teaching, and so he had to leave. His flight left like the day before the match, so we didn't end up going to that one. But I did go to the Real Madrid versus Chelsea one. I think it was like 2 years later or something at the same stadium. Mostly because I just want to hang out with Justin because that's my boy. But Danny says it's a joke. Yeah, I don't like. You guys know I don't. Danny got a new puppy picture there. Better to play the youths. Yeah, like. Bring all the kids. If people get mad, like that's the thing that pisses me off too. People who get mad. Like there were MLS fans, Inter Miami supporters who tried to sue Inter Miami because they had Messi on promotional material, but then like Messi wasn't involved in the match day squad or something, and like call it like false advertising or something. Like that kind of stuff bugs me, but. Bach says preseason is boring. Yep, it is boring. It is a good chance to see some kids. Obviously, VTech stood out last summer. And it's been key for some of our youngsters. Obviously, Manu, Dangor, and whatnot were heavily involved. We saw Ennis heavily involved, Harry Amos this past summer. So, but again, I see it as injuries because Euro was injured in the preseason friendly against Arsenal and missed months to start the season. Arsenal lost Yuri and Timber last season for the entire year, pretty much in a preseason game against us. Like, that's the kind of shit that I can't stand. And that's all friendlies mean to me. Friendly, it's like football-ese for injuries, and I can't stand it. Then it says, keep your eyes and ears open about Dana Rodonius. He's the next best CB to come out of South America. Interesting. You guys know I'm always in the mood for looking for some young talent. We do have Champions League today, so keep a lookout for that. That kicks off in about an hour. It's Arsenal versus Real Madrid, or really just Arsenal being fed to Real Madrid because we all know how that one's going to turn out. Bayern versus Inter could be interesting because Inter did Inter like pretty much wrap up their league already, as far as I know. And then we got some championship games too if you guys want to watch some of the championships clubs. Anybody, if you're on Hayden Hackney watch, Borough do play Leeds later on today. It kicks off pretty much the same time as Champions League, though, so I don't know why Paramount did that, because Paramount does the championship stuff, too. And then if you caught my last scouting report, Rocco Vata, the young Irish winger, he plays for Watford, and they play Hull today as well, if you guys want to go give that guy a look after I did a scouting report on him. It says, imagine Rashford, Sancho, and Anthony at these games of freedom fighters reunited. Sancho has just done himself, man. This is why you don't go too early on social media, man. There's no good can come from that. It always comes back to you. Come on, Madrid. Yes, we're all Madrid fans today, as Rob says. Come on, hala Madrid, right? Let them do it. I I just need Arsenal fans to finally sit down and shut up. You notice they've all kind of crawled back into the woodwork now that they've pretty much seen that the league is out of hand. They're knocked out of the cup competitions. This is really their last chance. And, guys like Joe Bea and whatnot, these guys have just been talking all that good stuff all season. They came in with the chest. They came in with the bass in their voice. My man was out here last season carrying around a tiny little Premier League trophy, and just Arsenal fans, man, I don't know when they're going to learn. I don't know what it's going to take for them to learn that they had their chance 2 years ago. They missed their chance, and that's it. That's just, that is what it is. I'm sorry, but it just is what it is. So, but in any case, you guys, that is going to do it from me. Please hit that like button for me if you haven't yet. Go enjoy a little bit of the afternoon if you're going to watch some Champions League. Hopefully you enjoy that. That's what I plan on doing. I have a couch supposedly being delivered at some point. So if they deliver it during the game, it is what it is. They're lucky it's not Thursday, because if they tried to deliver it on Thursday, I just let it sit on the porch all day. But subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check the memberships to learn how you can get more involved in the content, such as the What If. So you guys, there's 2 episodes of What If out right now. Go check those out if you haven't yet. We talked about what would happen if Mourinho replaced Ferguson in 2013, and then we did one on what happened if we had signed Sir Alex's #1 target, Ronaldinho, in the summer of 2003 instead of Ronaldo. So go check out those 2. We'll have a couple more episodes coming out. I'm breaking them down into seasons, because I want to spread them out a little bit. So keep a lookout for those as well. And then the memberships, you can get involved in the what ifs. You can get involved in the questions from a boot. You can get involved in the scout reports as well. So check it out, you guys. Thank you all for coming on and getting involved. Danny is doing the scouting report. Jay says, I wonder why reports say Victor Osimhen is a 60 million player when storage is broke that he'd cost 55.5 million. I mean, the ball is in our court. I prefer him. Osimhen's wages would hurt us a lot, but it is what it is. As I said before, couch prices go up 60%. My wife ordered the couch, and I have a problem ordering furniture like couches without sitting in them first. So this could go one of 2 ways. This could be a comfortable couch, or it could be an uncomfortable couch. But couch shopping for me is a very serious situation. So I don't like to buy something like that without sitting on it first. So we'll see. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Danny says, give him Luke Shaw as a bonus on top. Yeah, do it. Luke Shaw could go to Galatasaray or something. Napoli. I mean, Antonio Conte is buying up all these English players, so that could work out as well. So we'll see. But you guys take it easy. Enjoy your day. Thank you again for stopping by. As always, I do love having good conversation with everybody. Hopefully we'll be back maybe with another news show before Thursday. But until then, you guys, keep your eyes peeled for more What If episodes. Go check out those episodes if you haven't seen them yet. And then, yeah, like the video, subscribe on your way out, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.